Okay, this calls for another explanation because a lot of people are beta male bitches. It is because we live in a beta male culture expressed with a gender neutral spirit, if you will, gender neutral energy, really Luciferian energy, that I have to explain it in a way that a little sissy little girl can understand without starting to cry. You know, he's yelling at me. Is that an adult's response or a little girl? You need to stop thinking about Psyche and Cupid and grow up. So when we look at the artificial, gender-neutral, fake alpha male culture, right? What is the alpha male in its fake term, its fake definition, right? The alpha male is a man tending to assume a dominant or domineering role in a social or professional situation. He is simply a more dominant beta male, right? Is he rising up with a sword and saying, I'm in charge here? Or is he simply bullying people with kind of this relational aggression that I covered in the other video that women are known for, right? Covert aggression. You better not mess with me because my covert network is going to keep you down. Or my network that I got from my covert network is going to assault you psychologically, financially, and otherwise. All right. This is most exemplified in the modern Western culture, but it's really everywhere, especially because the West empowers the beta male cultures around the world. What I mean by beta male culture is these people naturally would have been beta males. They're not meant to be in charge. They are not naturally more intelligent, and you know them by their works. They've created an unfair world, which is a hellhole. Okay? These beta male corporatists, these beta male scientists, these are the people who are, quote unquote, in charge and are subjugating people. And look at the piece of shit world we have as a result. When did things really start spiraling down rapidly? The rise of these beta males. This is why the Rockefeller Center has a statue of Prometheus, who brought fire and metalworking to humanity. Fire, right? The reproduction, the fire in the hearts of men, the minds, the fire in your belly, semen in your belly. Throwing fuel on the fire using psychology to encourage the beta males to rise up in a big fluffy beta male form, in a sissy, gender neutral kind of LGBT form, in a kind of geeky kind of scientist weirdo, form, in a Smithers from The Simpsons form, and so on. Okay? Mr. Burns, and so on. What happens as a result of this beta male culture is we have unnatural mental states and group delusion, which inevitably is used to target those of us who live in reality. Okay? Deceit and delusion are connected. In sparring, there is no true deception when you truly understand martial arts. You're not fooled. You're like, that's a cute little magic trick, but I'm not fooled. And you strike them. It might take you a few strikes because that's part of your strategy and tactics, but you're not fooled. The alpha male will emerge when you go to 10. You might trick him once, but ultimately you're not fooled, and it comes out when you go to 10. Okay? It's just how it is. And there's certain things that affect the ability for someone to become themselves in the ring. The atmosphere. If I'm black and we're at a Ku Klux Klan's convention and having the sparring match, chances are it's going to interfere with my ability to tap into my mind, body, and soul, connect them, and convey the spirit effectively. If there's a bunch of attractive women, and women have treated me badly all my life, especially attractive women snobbing me, and there's subconscious mental processes at play, chances are it might take me a few exchanges to get into the spirit. That means little or nothing at all. In true natural combat, when I have the support network, and you have your support network, and they clash, you don't have that sort of problem taking place. So the spirit of man and one's ability to perceive it can be interfered with psychology, drugs, and technology. These people have delusions of grandeur, and the traits and qualities that they have, they try to superimpose. They suggest that they are actually in other people, and they enforce it with their theories and based on fabricated evidence, mind you, and half-truths, and their forced medication and institutions, as well as movements and so on, and entities and so on, civic institutions. So in this kind of combination of corrupt cultures meeting halfway, political parties, various subcultures, countercultures, meeting at some point to give us the present mix that we have, People who have various corrupt cultures that aren't compatible are suppressed, and people who insist on the truth. The problem here is that if you have a corrupt culture that is uncontrolled, chances are you're going to eventually give up. Okay, it is the hero who's going to keep insisting. The corrupt guy will be assimilated. He'll say, well, it's not in my best interest to be uncontrolled. They're cracking down on me. I'm going to assimilate as this kind of bitch or that kind of a bitch. It is the hero. It is the true alpha male that emerges uncontrolled and insists on the truth. Him and those that are most like him. So what this particular mix ends up doing is punishing the most righteous, the wisest, and the best. There's no way around that. That is going to happen. It's guaranteed to happen. Even in our unpopular culture, we see it happening. Those who sell their souls, right? Faust, Dante's Inferno, Paradise Lost, Milton, I believe is the author, whoever, okay? People sell their soul for fame. Therefore, it is stupid to say no one's heard of you. All that is saying is you haven't sold your soul. All those who have are unworthy, incompetent scum. They're not alpha males. They're nowhere near it. They are beta males who are so beta that they have been allowed to rise to that level in this in this psychological construct. Part of the problem also lies in the definition of a civilization to begin with. The corrupt mad scientists and corporate crooks definition is a half-truth at best. It is racist. This is disingenuous, and of course they are jealous of those with natural ability, and that's part of why they resort to this bitch shit in the first place. Versus the disciplined, noble ideas of civilization, from the deep thinking, pure alpha male, sun temple, masculine spirit, martial arts culture. Attractive women in this culture are ill-gotten gains. They're trophies of traitors. In many cases, people who have attractive women would have had attractive women otherwise in this same culture. Perhaps they wouldn't exist if the alpha male culture existed and they couldn't help themselves. Perhaps they wouldn't have attractive women, but in this same culture, at this present time, in many cases, they would have otherwise had attractive women anyway. But all attractive women are ill-gotten gains because they're not attained from the divine order or from a responsible, honorable culture, but in this disgrace known as Western culture and all the subcultures and countercultures it includes. We look at Buddhists and mental health. It is not enough. I use the Buddhists as an example, but pretty much there are a lot of groups that can be made an example. This is just a very powerful example because of their alliance with mental health and other reasons as well to consider. The Buddhists have mental health allies. So when they sit there and they're seen as the pinnacle of martial arts, mind, body, and soul, it is only because their allies are working behind the scenes with that black part of the yin yang, the evil, the darkness, the dark side male, if you will. The male described as a dark side being and the female as some kind of moon temple female, okay, who is not submissive to the sun but to the dark side, if anything, right? It's a gender neutral symbol, okay? They have ill-gotten gains. If you're having a car race, for example, and you know that the 10 drivers who are better than you are all killed, and they have better vehicles or whatever, they're all killed, is it honorable to then say, yes, I have won the race? Or is it dishonorable? Should you treat that same competition with contempt? Wash your hands with it. Their inability to say we are not the best martial artists is their disgrace. And so it is with the UFC and every martial arts studio we have. It is all their responsibility to say that African Sun Temple martial artists are the foundation and they're the superior form. And they've been cheated out of their rightful places and even the opportunity to compete. And that is the only reason people see us as special. And Hollywood, in a very disgraceful manner, has elevated us along with the media and other bitches, beta male scum. Absolutely, that is their responsibility. Absolutely, it is irresponsible. Just because you're a Buddhist, does that mean you shouldn't feed your kid? You have a kid and just put it in nature? Not to act. I believe in not action. Or is that your responsibility? And so it is in martial arts. It is your responsibility to admit I am the best, to acknowledge me and my ancestors as number one publicly, because you are disgracefully, publicly elevated above me. That is dishonorable, disgraceful. Martial arts must end after I die, but preferably right fucking now. You are all in a state of disgrace. You choose to follow the laws of the land because you see that as your responsibility. Laws that come from neo-colonialist, crony capitalist kleptocrats. But you refuse to acknowledge your responsibility to your fellow man. Your moral responsibility. At least the UFC fighters are openly ruffians. Can the same be said about you? You must acknowledge your inferior philosophy that has led to your generations of disgrace and your inferior martial arts system. How much worse are you than that race car driver? How much more disgraced? And even as a group, you can't find it in you to do the right thing. How much more disgraceful is that? I'll end this by talking about comparisons to the average mind. I am more tolerant and restrained than the average person. I have far more reason to lash out. America is full of prisoners, like 2 million or something inmates in America. Full of prisoners. The largest prison population, the largest incarcerated population on the planet. Right here in America. Not all of them are accused of having mental illness, mind you. I am far more tolerant and restrained than the average person. The things that I have done are absolutely a result of covert drugging with 15 witnesses, mind you. Some of them to the fuming. I have seen people coughing. I have researched the symptoms. Not only do I have the witnesses, I have decades of research. 2 decades of researching mental health. To understand their arguments, listening to their arguments, their repugnant perspectives, time and time again. These cowards don't even agree with each other. Feminist perspective, sociological perspective, cognitive, functional, blah, 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 blah. Just fucking idiots, morons, cowards. Why should an alpha male who is right in truth, who is more in the spirit of truth and reality, who can outmaneuver because he has fine-tuned his senses in terms of human nature, listen to beta male puppets, cowards, and fools? Pass the ball, you coward. Discipline, determination, restraint, they're connected. If I am to strike, make no mistake, it is the right thing to do, even if I was heavily drugged when I did. Now, since I'm running out of time, let's explore that idea. If I'm heavily drugged when I did, is it not the society that turned its back on this process, as I had thousands of videos exposing, as I reached out to them intensely, tactfully, as many others, as hundreds of other TIs reached out for them? Did they not turn their back? In the same country as COINTELPRO and MK Ultra, did they not play stupid? Do they not deserve to be beaten with many blows according to their own Bible in a predominantly Christian culture? He who knows better will be beaten with more blows. You knew better. You're not as wise as I am, or you would emerge uncontrolled, but you certainly knew better. Does that stop you from hitting your dogs? You are my dogs. Until you come into the divine order, you are dogs, and you are my dogs. And I will punish you one day in the afterlife. Make no mistake. You flea-bitten, raggedy fucking dogs. My admirable qualities include continuous self-examination, deep contemplation, and an ability to focus intensely, with a refusal to present it the way that a bunch of bitches need to hear it. You are dogs, and I need to raise my voice at dogs that refuse to acknowledge their master. If you behave like dogs, you will be treated like dogs. I have behaved like a hero, and women treat me like as such because they are dogs.